Welcome to the Switchblade Sisters Social Club, a true crime podcast where two sisters exploit their worst fears for your entertainment. You're welcome. I'm Dee.
And I'm Rhonda, and together we are the Psyche Sisters. For more information, check out our website at www.switchbladesistersocialclub.com or find us on Instagram and Facebook at Switchblade Sisters Social Club.
Thanks for listening. Hi. This is Dee, and there's Rhonda.
Sorry, I always interrupt. Sorry. You want to do it again?
Not really.
Okay. we thought we'd nailed that by now.
I was just thinking, it's been a couple of weeks since we recorded again. Rusty. So this is Switchblade Sister Social Club, where two sisters exploit their worst fears and interrupt each other for your entertainment. You're welcome. Hi. So this is episode 3 of season 2.
And I am surprised and thrilled we still have listeners with us.
Yes. Hello, if you're listening. Thanks for sticking with us. So we have, if you've been following, we've always struggled with how to end our episodes because we wanted to end on a bit of a lighthearted note so that, you know, people don't listen to an episode and go off and cry themselves to sleep, like us included. So now we are pleased to announce that we will be ending every episode with drumroll.
The People's Pulse. And we did a poll on our stories to ask for listener feedback, and the common consensus was the People's Pulse was a popular choice.
Yeah, I like that because it sounds a bit poncy and silly.
Yeah. Do you know what? I like it because, like, at the end, it's so fun when we podcast, and then we tell each other a horrific story, then we get really sad, and then it's not a nice way to end, you know?
No. So what we're going to basically be doing is throughout the week, putting some polls on our stories on Instagram, so you can just about random shit. We've got some pre-prepared, some questions we've been thinking would be super fun to ask you all. So keep an eye on our stories and join in. It probably means we'll shout you out on the podcast if you give us a good answer to read out. We tried it, didn't we, with, was it last week, with the weird crushes?
Yeah, weird crushes is a good one. I like that.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
We learned that most people don't understand the term weird crush because hot guys with 6 packs, not a hot crush.
Oh, and can I just say, Karen, our friend of the show, Karen, gave us a late entry, and she said her weird crush was Clint Eastwood. But I wouldn't say it's a weird one.
No,
would you?
I think because he falls into the Eugene Levy category of dashing older man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it's not that weird.
No, don't think that's a weird one. But we'll definitely do a not weird crush one
at some point,
and we'll feature that one again, Karen.
Yeah. So we will be ending today's episode with the People's Pulse, and I thought it'd be fun because some of you very kindly at the end of season 1 we did a little bit of a survey, a Google form, just asking you how we were doing, what you would change, what would you recommend that we look at, et cetera, et cetera.
No, I was scared. I was scared. I don't know what was going to come in.
You know, whenever you do a feedback form and you're like, please don't say everything.
Oh God, you know, we started on such a high. We had only like 5-star reviews, and suddenly our Spotify rating went down to 4.8 because someone must have left a really shitty one. Then,
do us a favor, bring it up if you're listening to this and you haven't left us a Spotify review. Obviously, only if you genuinely think we're good. Please help us with that. Because we know it's at least 1 of 5 people. I have suspects.
Oh, do you? Oh, interesting. We haven't talked about that. Okay, and then we had the whole episode with the guy at 3 a.m.
Well, he's one of my suspects.
Well, yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah, suspect number 1.
And the others are all exes of mine. Yeah. Oh, can I go back to the People's Pulse? I also quite like it because obviously pulse, true crime, murder.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
that's quite cute, isn't it?
Yeah,
in a murdery way.
Love alliteration.
I love a little bit of wordplay.
Yeah.
So please do help us boost up our Spotify. And also, can I just say, you know how we get an email every day telling us about our stats
yes.
for the podcast, and if we get reviews. No, we haven't had a new one.
No, I know what you're going to say, that every time you open it, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say every time, let me guess, you're going to say every time we open it, we hope there's a review. And when there's a review, we're so happy. And when there isn't, and it's just stats, we're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly that. So if you want to literally make our day at around 8 p.m., leave us an Apple Podcast review. Because
please.
When we get that email through, it really does make our day. We send it to the family WhatsApp group.
We do. It goes global. Then we post it on the socials. We still have people I'm trying to look for. Every time somebody leaves us a review and we don't know who they are, I always try to find them on socials. I post it, then ask them to identify themselves. And honestly, I don't think I've ever been told like such lovely things as we've had in our reviews. I've also never had such insults as we've had.
Like you posted recently about someone left us a review that just said blah blah blah. It's like, it's not a podcast. It's all blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were expecting, but yeah.
And also weirdly a Trump supporter. It's like, we're not your people.
No, I'm surprised because I think I know which episode that was. I think it might have been
It was weirdly not one where we touched on politics at all. Maybe it came out because we do event, every now and then go on.
We mentioned Ted Bundy, and we mentioned that he worked for the Conservative Party, not
for the Republicans.
Sorry, whatever episode that was. Which he must have got quite far into the episode to get to that point, because we didn't even cover Ted Bundy as like a main case. So that person stuck with us for quite a while, just to leave us that little bit of feedback.
I wonder how many people we have hate listening to us. You know what I mean? Like listening to us because they hate us.
The fucking guy who left us an erratic fucking incel-inspired message at 3 a.m. who I had to write that angry email for.
Yeah. Anyways, let's go back to the audience poll.
That means we're going to cut that bit out.
Well, we've given him enough airtime, so
I can tell when you're going to cut bits out. I say this, you moved me on quick.
So our audience poll was so cute. So if you responded to it, thank you so much. We didn't do it fishing for compliments, and yet it was a huge ego boost.
Tell me.
All right. Well, okay. So surprisingly,
everyone loves your cases because they're well researched.
Surprisingly, 50% of the people that responded said they never listened to podcasts.
Oh.
So are they just listening because of us? So cute. And then I had to laugh at this, all right? Oh no, sorry, I've read that wrong. 50% listen to podcasts daily. All right, okay. They're very similar blues. I asked how they discovered our podcast. Lots of people said Instagram. Lots of people said an online search. Some people said like referral by friends or family. But one that just made me it was so cute. It's by someone called PJ. And she's put, my husband, Mike Sperry, went to middle school with both of you. He suggested that I listen to your podcast.
Oh, I sent her a message the other day to say thank you.
And Mike Sperry was someone who was like really sweet. He was in my grade and he was very sweet.
Yeah.
Very
principled.
Sweet. Very funny. He was really funny. And we like funny.
Thank you,
and one
PJ.
of the few people from that school that we're kind of still, granted just in Facebook touch, but still in touch with. So Mike Sperry and your gorgeous wife, thank you so much. Lots of people say they listen to true crime podcasts because they're fascinated with criminal psychology, with interest in real life stories, et cetera, et cetera. And then they love us because of our detailed storytelling, engaging hosts, and in-depth research.
Oh,
we've got some suggestions for cases, which not going to read out because we want them to be a surprise. 50% of the people that filled in the form, this isn't surprising, said they engage with us regularly on social media. We fucking love when people do this.
We do.
Do this. Slide into our DMs.
It makes us so happy when we get a notification from somebody. It
really does. And everyone said they would recommend us. Is there anything you dislike or find challenging about our podcast? Oh yeah, this one's so fucking hilarious. let me find the full text. Sorry.
There's stuff that I find fucking challenging when you listen to yourself on a podcast. Oh my God. You realize how annoying you are.
The sound of our own voices. Just bear with me. I just want to wrap. Well, sorry, very boring, but I'm wrapping the cell on the Google Sheets. Okay. Weirdly, some of the UK ones I can't listen to because I lived alongside the murder as it played out and I can't deal with hearing about it. But that's a me problem. We get that. We get that totally. And then this one, I don't like when Dee says, let's get this shit show on the road, as I think it belittles how good the podcast is. Oh, I know. So that's a backhanded compliment. So yeah, we'll take that.
We'll take any kind of compliment.
Any compliment.
At this stage in our lives.
Yeah. And it's hilarious what we can manipulate in our minds to become a compliment. Even when it's not.
Is that like that? Oh,
what?
Forget what I was going to say. Positive
reinforcement? No. Like training a puppy?
No. Like when you
confirmation bias. It's
that's
basically
the fucking one. Yes, that's the fucking one. Yeah. Well, I don't know what I was going to say, but that's the one. Yeah.
Do you have any other comments or suggestions to share or suggest to improve our podcast? Oh. Sam has written, more content of drunk trash TV viewing, please.
Coming up.
Coming up.
He's got that covered.
So that's referring to our Patreon spin-off where which we call Drunk Real Housewives, where I watch Real Housewives on my own and get drunk. We didn't actually plan it. It just kind of happened. The alcohol was entirely my decision because I didn't want to do it sober. But if you want to watch, like, basically Gogglebox with really shit TV and me on my own just shouting, that's for you. Have a look at our Patreon.
Sam, we should invite you to a Real Housewives watch party with us.
We really should.
And you know what? Can we just say how adorable Sam is?
Sam's adorable. He's launched his new website. So let me just find the link so we can see art. LazyMuleArt.com.
And you can find him on Instagram.
He does these amazing, like I've just brought up his website. He does these amazing portraits, drawings of famous people. So just so good, like musicians, actors, artists.
And his Instagram is lazy_. His Instagram is lazy_mule_art.
So he's got, I'm looking on his website, he's got Notorious B.I.G., Snoop Dogg, Noel Gallagher, Harry Styles, Ice Cube.
Brad Pitt is Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah. Sherlock Holmes, Harry Potter. Just a whole bunch of fucking amazing stuff. So go check out his website. Yeah, so that's our audience poll. Oh, someone said it's the highlight of my week. It's the highlight of our week too. Yeah, so that's it. That is our audience poll.
That was good for the soul.
Yeah.
I was scared when you said you're going to do an audience survey. I thought, oh, fuck. I do not need someone to hold up a mirror to
I know.
Tell me how annoying I am.
Well, luckily we only had some of our diehards by the look of it fill in the form. So yeah, we'll probably do another audience survey one at the end of audience 2 because we do season 2 because we really do want to. We've said we do this for us. We fucking love doing this, but we enjoy it the more you guys enjoy it.
Completely.
Basically, we live off your fucking praise. We're like Tinkerbell. If we don't get attention, we start like fading fast. So yeah, there's no point unless someone's fucking listening to it and enjoying it, if that's the right word. Sorry. You know how I like the cushion to be visible. Nice. Okay, so episode 3. Which means it's my turn to present a case to you. Which means I'm waiting for my cue. Which is when you say...
Cue? Oh, tell me the fucking story. I'm sorry, I was enjoying the chit-chat. Chit-chat
over.
Oh, okay.
Murder time.
Somebody is not enjoying our chit-chat because their feedback was blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so Oh, wait, I'm so unprepared. I haven't got my fucking things lined up on my screen. Cut this out.
Do you know, I when you said it's time for the story, I thought, oh, fuck, is it, for a second there, I thought it was me presenting.
You're safe. It's me presenting a story to you. I'm so excited about this one because I have had this one in my back pocket since March. And we just had so many other great cases to cover that it kind of slipped into season 2. But I'm happy it did because of a few things that I'm going to tell you. Okay, so it was really, really weird because this is an old case. And then when I sat down to research it, I was like, why is it all in the fucking news? Like recent news.
Shit, I hope it's not, okay, it's not, okay.
No, this one has got very dark moments.
Oh, fuck, I'm in such a good mood.
No, but okay. I would say overall, it's fairly positive.
Okay.
Okay, it's fairly positive for a true crime podcast.
Okay, get on with it, because you know what, you make me tense.
Yeah. So I was like, what the fuck? And basically, it's because even though this is an old case, not super old, but the main guy got assassinated this year. So when I sat down to research it, he'd been assassinated by coincidence just a few days earlier.
Okay.
Which is a bit spooky.
Okay.
So I've been keeping an eye on it, updating it as more news has come in about how and why and blah, blah, blah. I don't know if assassinated is the right word to use, but he was murdered, basically. So we always quote our sources, and that's all that's interesting had a really good article on their page. Wikipedia, obviously, University of Wikipedia, grunge.com, Case File Podcast, and weirdly, I got a lot of information from the South China Morning Post.
Okay.
Who were the only ones who covered his death in English at the time that I was researching. Because we're going global.
Oh.
All right, so time for the reveal. And I don't think you know about this case.
Nope.
Okay, the guy I'm covering is known by the nickname, the Brazilian Dexter.
Oh, okay. I like the sound of this. I haven't heard of him. Is he Brazilian?
Yes, he's Brazilian. His name is not Dexter. It's not that Brazilian a name.
What is his name?
Okay, I'll tell you in a moment. But I picked it for 2 reasons. First of all, I loved the show Dexter, at least the first few seasons. I tailed off towards the end, but loved it as a concept.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, you did too, didn't you?
And the character. The last season got a bit like lost its way, but he was an endearing character, huh?
And so like it was just so fucking well written. It's such a weird context. For any of you who've been living in a fucking box, or you're like young millennial who missed this, Dexter was a guy who worked as in for the police as a civilian, as a blood spatter expert in particular. I think he was a blood expert, wasn't he? And he had murderous ways that his adopted dad identified very early on, and so basically trained him like, you're going to have these urges, you're not going to be able to deny them, so what you got to do is only kill bad people. And so obviously working in the police, he had like a lot of access to information about bad people, etc., etc. So this guy is who they based Dexter off of. Yeah. And the second,
I didn't know that it was based on a true story.
I mean, very loosely, obviously, but they got the concept from this guy. The second reason why I'm covering this case is because we love Brazil. For those of you that don't know, like our largest branch of the family actually live in Natal in the north of Brazil, and we love them so much. Hello, if you're listening. I think 1 or 2 of them actually do listen. We miss you guys like fucking crazy every single day, and we wish we were together all of the time. But this one is a little dedication to them as well. So yeah, this case fucking fascinates me, right? So you don't know about this case because we keep our subjects secret from each other, but I've been asking the family for lots of information about this, et cetera, because especially our cousins who are a little bit older than us, lived through it, you know, as it was happening. So they were very familiar with it.
So it was high profile.
Yeah. So so now I'm going to report to you about this Brazilian Dexter. Do you like how I say report like I'm a fucking investigative journalist?
Well, to be fair, you're writing for the crime investigation website now, huh? So you're almost detective status.
Basically a detective. So so the question here is, can you have a nice serial killer? So we're going to talk about the morality around this case at the end.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
Obviously you can't, but are there degrees of evil and good in the spectrum of serial killerness? I don't know. So if you've ever watched Dexter and you thought it was an amazing pretext for the show, this is kind of what happened in real life. I'm really, really fascinated by this. I told you this already, but just bear with me. So buckle up, because this is a wild ride, okay?
Okay, go.
Pedro.
I like his name. Cute.
Pedro was born in Minas Gerais, which is in the north of Brazil, in 1953 or 1964. The dates were coming up weird, all right? But basically, imagine him our parents' age, basically, ish. Yeah?
Okay.
The dates in this case rarely lined up, which infuriated me, right? So it's a northern state of Brazil. Supposed to be absolutely fucking gorgeous because it's like Amazon territory and stuff. But like a lot of Brazil, there's extreme poverty, especially at the time. So little shout out to Lula, president.
Lula.
And also previous presidents, because he had two terms, and then went away and then came back recently. But he reduced poverty in Brazil by 50%. And when we used to go visit there in like the 90s and so forth, it was fucking military junta that was running Brazil. It was scary. I don't know how much you remember that from that period, but it was awful. So Brazil is still, you know, has a lot of work to do, but it's definitely improving. But at the time, we're talking 50s, 60s, 70s, etc., extreme poverty. You were either really fucking rich or really fucking poor, and there was no middle class. There was nothing in between. All right, so also, can we just say how fucking happy we are that Bolsonaro's
Oh, God. Do you know what? Lula is like Brazil's Jeremy Corbyn, just so endearing. Really, so, and he was a really, really good friend of our uncle's. And just
and our aunt. Yeah. And yeah, absolute fucking legend, as are our aunt and uncle. And yeah, so do you remember from our episode on Profile of a Serial Killer, which you presented to me, what are two things that many serial killers experience in their youth?
Oh, abuse.
And?
Abandonment. Oh, head injuries. Yes. Okay.
And Pedro's abuse and head injury could not have happened any fucking sooner. It literally
so sad.
In the womb.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. Yeah, tell me.
It's dark. It's dark.
Oh, God.
He was born basically with a misshapen head because when his mum was pregnant, his dad used to kick his mother in the stomach and had bruised his skull.
Oh, fuck. Oh, so awful. Move on as quick as you can.
Yeah. Okay. So to lighten the mood, Pedro claims he first felt the urge to kill at age 13. This might not sound that weird because it's kind of at an age where you're learning to moderate and mitigate your emotions and stuff like that. But Pedro actually kind of followed through with this urge. So he got in a fight with his cousin. They were working because obviously they're already working at age 13. I don't know how old his cousin was. They were responsible for, so in Brazil, they have so much sugar cane. So they have sugar cane. I think that's what cachaça is made out of. Sugar cane, alcohol, sugar cane smoothies and juices on the side of the road.
Sugar cane juice is so nice.
So nice. So basically, they used to be in charge of feeding the sugarcane through the sugarcane press. So imagine it's kind of like a mangle where you put the laundry through and it squeezes out the water. sugar. If you haven't seen a sugarcane press, what's wrong with you?
So fucking tasty.
So good. So you see them by the side of the road. It's like a very staple drink in Brazil. But I think this was more of a commercial one, so bigger, right?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I think I know where this is going.
So Pedro got this urge. They get in a fight. So Pedro pushes his cousin into the press. He pushed his cousin's whole arm into the press.
Oh, fuck.
So it wasn't a big enough gap to fit a whole person. That reminded me, oh my God, I just got flashbacks to Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones.
I don't remember the scene, but I do remember other horrific bits of that movie.
Yeah. So basically his cousin lost the use of his arm. I don't know if he actually lost his arm, but he lost the use of it anyways, all the way up to the shoulder, which is a big deal when you're depending on your manual labor for survival. Pedro did try to push his cousin's head into the press, but the size of the gap wouldn't allow it.
Do we know what the cousin did?
They just got in a fight. I mean, it's fucking 13-year-old kids, you know? Okay. Like I said, I don't know how old the cousin is, but I imagine he was also... This feels like the task that would have been allocated to the children in the family, feeding the sugar press through. And then Pedro says he took a moment or two before deciding to go and get help for his cousin. So obviously this is quite a severe incident, and he went to jail for a couple of nights, and then his family begged the police not to press charges because not only had they lost part of the capacity of one of their workers with the cousin losing an arm, but they didn't want to lose another worker to jail, you know, because they needed all hands on deck. Again, it's survival mode here, right? Because Pedro was a minor, they agreed, the police, and he was released. I'm sure money was exchanged to help convince him, but basically he avoided any real jail time for this. Then when Pedro was 14, his father, who remember was abusive towards his mom, and no doubt to him as well, was working as a guard at the school, which makes me sad that that job exists, that you have to have guards at schools, but that was his job. He was fired because he was accused of stealing food from the kitchen. And again, I couldn't get like enough details for my liking about this. Like I couldn't tell if he was like just stealing like a meal here or there, or whether he was like stealing industrial amounts to bring home to his whole family. I don't know. But he was accused of stealing from the kitchen and he lost his job. So what does 14-year-old Pedro do? He finds the guard he believed actually stole the food, holds him up at gunpoint. Pedro tells him, do you know what you did? You condemned us to poverty. He said, like, my dad is abusive and he's angry all the time now, and that's your fault as well. The guard apologizes, but Pedro shoots him in the head anyways and kills him. He then, so this is 14-year-old Pedro, he then goes to the town hall and shoots the deputy mayor of the town. The deputy mayor does not survive this attack. Pedro targeted this man because he was the one that was actually responsible for firing the dad. So now 14-year-old Pedro goes on the run because he's wanted. There's no way you're going to kill two people, one of them being the deputy mayor of the town, and not face consequences, right?
Yeah.
So this makes me sad because he's obviously already committed horrendous crimes at this point, but he's also 14 and still a child. He goes all the way to Sao Paulo, to the Sao Paulo area, which is like literally the opposite end of Brazil. It's like a whole continent away. I did read in a couple of places that he went there because his godmother lived there or something. So, you know, don't know whether he had contacts, connections, a bit of support where he went. But like this whole thing is just very sad, isn't it? And obviously Sao Paulo, big city, huge fucking city, even at the time. Lots of gang activity and so forth. So he begins to survive by robbing drug dens and killing drug traffickers. So he gets the nickname Pedrino Matador, which means little PD killer. So if some of you might have noticed from like football or whatever that like in Brazilian culture, if you add Inho at the end of a name, like Ronaldinho. It means little Ronald or whatever. And they also like to add junior at the end of things. So Pedro was seen from a very early age, i.e. 14, as a vigilante, and that he was providing justice where justice was not normally provided, because Brazil had a terrible rate for bringing murderers to justice. There are still whole areas of Brazil, favelas, and the areas where with high gang activity, where police still avoid to go completely. So it's like lawless state, you know? And he just insisted on only targeting bad people.
Wow. I wonder where that urge came from. Whether that was like his version of sort of absolution, you know?
I don't know, but
because Brazil is a religious country.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just funny, isn't it, how everyone's moral compass is totally different, right? I read that at this time, 10% of murders are convicted. And I couldn't figure out if that meant now or when Pedro was active, but that's fucking low.
Yeah.
Because wasn't it something like 90% in the UK? So it's literally the opposite. So he's in Sao Paulo, in the Sao Paulo area. He gets involved with gangs because, again, survival. And he gets involved with a woman who is a widow of a prominent drug lord. Her name is Booty.
Okay, cute name.
Pedro is Pedro's still only 14.
Why do I keep expecting positives in these stories? Okay.
Just safer if you don't ask at any point. Okay. Will I like her? Yeah. I'll ask you at the end how you feel about Pedro.
Okay.
So Pedro's still only 14. So again, it's like, you're still a child.
At this point, I feel sad for him.
I feel sad for him. I mean, that's not dismissing the fucking awful things he's done, but obviously you can tell it is because of societal neglect and parental neglect.
Yeah, I feel sad for him because obviously the abuse towards him started before he was even born. Yeah. So he started life at a disadvantage. And not that I'm justifying what he did, but the murder of I am not justifying what he did, but it was motivated by the fact that it was putting his family into a deeper state of poverty.
Yeah. But at the same time, killing people for it is not going to make their financial situation any better. If anything, it makes it worse. Okay, so Booty, I think I'll answer your question fairly quickly here. She's an adult. She's a widow. I don't know how old she is exactly, but she's definitely older than 18. Pedro is 14. They enter a relationship together.
Oh, okay.
So already pedophile. Still one of the lesser crimes in this case, but still not good.
And more abuse for Pedro.
Yeah, exactly, because that is entirely abuse. Because I don't care how mature he may have been in some respects, because like surviving on his own at 14, he's clearly had to grow up in some respects much quicker than other 14-year-olds. Still fucking 14. His brain is not fully developed yet. So anyways, being in a relationship with this widow of a former drug lord means that his reputation goes up and he works his way up in terms of this gangland hierarchy. But it also means there's a lot of resentment towards him, basically for sleeping his way to the top, right? The girlfriend of one of his rivals warned Pedro to watch his back and to keep an eye out for an ambush because of all the resentment towards him. Soon after, Pedro was invited to some of the by some of the gangsters to go swimming in a lagoon because it was really hot. And also they're all fucking children. Children like jumping in lagoons, as do adults, but you know. But it's like what they should be doing at their age rather than being drug lords. So Pedro approaches this lagoon and notices that one of his mates, in quotation marks, was armed and kind of being weird. Pedro pulled a gun on them and asked them, "Why are you being weird?" They fled and Pedro shot him and killed 2 of these guys and hit another one. So carrying on with the murdering, basically. Pedro actually only had 2 friends that he trusted, and this makes me so sad because, again, he's 14. They slept in shifts.
What, to watch out for each other?
Protection and safety. And they also committed crimes together. Now, they had a crime planned where they were They were planning some criminal activity with a drug lord called China. But Pedro didn't trust China, so he decided to rob China instead. They stole China's drugs and guns and killed one of his men and even injured China and China's brother. So that's like a big deal. They sold the drugs and the guns that they stole to a rival drug lord, another, kick in the teeth for China, who Pedro deemed as honorable.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Pedro is on the radar of the death squads. These are vigilante groups of off-duty cops.
Oh. Okay.
And as we have learned, even to this day, there's nothing more terrifying than an off-duty cop. But especially, what are we talking about? Like 70s Brazil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also other gun-toting people, so security guards, random civilians who wanted to get involved, etc., etc. But Pedro and his friends, they were also their own kind of vigilante group that only killed drug dealers in the slums and only robbed them. So they did all this, but extrajudiciarily,
mm-hmm.
like outside of the courts of law. But this is in a time where the courts of law are fucking ridiculous anyways, and the legal system and the policing and et cetera, et cetera. So, where you hear about like gang members that try to help their community, and then you have other gang members that abuse their community. He viewed himself as one that was trying to help his community as much as possible.
A bit like Robin Hood.
Yeah, kind of. There's also loads of reports of people that were eliminated that were just rivals in love or business or street children or vagrants. Basically, the death squads were kind of just allowed to operate however much they want without consequence, which is terrifying. So they just, anyone that was vulnerable just for fun to kill people, or like I said, any love interest, love rival, business rival, they would miraculously be killed by one of these death squads. Mm-hmm. For some reason or other. Booty, pedo Booty, was killed by the police in a drug deal gone wrong. The police had been tipped off by a rival gang member. Pedro was 16 at the time and was seriously injured at the same time. So all of this, he's still 16. He's only 16. He stayed with extended family while he recovered. And this is apparently the time where he got more into the Brazilian religion of candomblé. I'm probably saying that wrong. So we covered this a little bit, me and Sarita, I think, in a previous episode of We Knew the Moon, talking about like voodoo and other religions. In Africa, in South America, in a lot of places, it is possible to be a Christian and also practice other religions and other practices that maybe some Western countries, European countries, the States wouldn't necessarily view as compatible with Christianity. Brazil is one of those where you can practice old religions and old practices at the same time as being fully Christian. And this is a case of this, right? So candomblé is very much a sort of, it's me oversimplifying, but it's very much a Brazilian version of voodoo. And it was very much inspired by African traditional religions. There are obviously a lot of African slaves brought over to Central America, the Caribbean, Latin America, and they brought over some of their practices, beliefs, culture, etc. It's heavily influenced by Christianity as well. And it involves a lot of spirituality, witchcraft, etc., that are not mutually exclusive in this region to Christianity. As a result of this sort of strengthening beliefs in this religion, he shaves his hair and his eyebrows as an initiation. It seems like quite a light initiation for a male, especially who already has short hair. But also part of his initiation was to stay overnight in a quarry, kill a cat, drink its blood, cover his body in the entrails, and bury the remains with seeds.
Ooh, okay. And why did he want to be a part of this?
I don't know. Pedro believed that during this ceremony, he was possessed with the power of invincibility. He then dug up the cat's body a week later and found that the seeds had hardened into beads, which his uncle threaded into a necklace and warned him never to take it off. Pedro claims from that moment on that bullets kept coming, but they never hit him. Nothing could stop him now. Which is exactly what a 16-year-old would think.
Yeah.
We thought we were fucking invincible at that age too. Oh, Pedro very much saw himself as a defender of the people. He stole trucks of food and gave them out in the slums. He burnt down shops if he felt that the owners were taking advantage of the poor. And his favorite pastime was killing men who harmed women and children.
Mm. So I want to know, at what point did he decide he was going to become a quote-unquote moral killer? At what point? Or was he always kind of motivated by that?
I really don't know.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to know what their fight was, him and the cousin, whether it was something he could be like, I don't know.
Like whether he always had that sense of like justice.
Yeah.
Serving justice, you know, whether that was always...
Because listen, if he heard of anyone performing animal cruelty, he would do the same act on the perpetrator.
And so was this motivated by the religion that he started practicing?
Well, I don't know, because that religion made him kill a cat.
Oh, yeah, true.
And smear its entrails on him, so I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So Booty is now killed. And Pedro's 16. And he meets a lady called Maria Aparecida Olympia. Her nickname is Butinia, and they move in together. She becomes pregnant. So sad, okay? Trigger warning.
For
really
fuck's sake, I knew it. It's something sad because of your face. Okay, oh, fuck. Okay, make it quick.
When she was 7 months pregnant, she and her bodyguard that Pedro had left with her were killed in their home. The killers wrote on the wall in her blood, "We will get you. We will get you." So he's not even 18 yet. He's had 2 girlfriends murdered and one of them was pregnant. Pedro had so many enemies that he couldn't work out at first who was responsible, and it took him nearly a year to figure it out. But then he avenged her death. I'm sure you predicted that he would. He went to a bar and he heard that someone was looking for him. It turned out to be the ex-wife of China, the drug lord that he fucked over more than 2 years previous, remember? This girlfriend had been very badly abused by China. Surprise, surprise. She had like scars to prove it. And she told Pedro that China had ordered the killing of his girlfriend. So it wasn't even an attempt on his life and he wasn't home. It was specifically to kill his girlfriend. Pedro finds out that China's brother was getting married in a week. So he got his 2 friends to come with him and he ordered them to shoot all the men. But he actually, before he started shooting, he sent all of the women and children out of the room. So they came dressed as guests, but Pedro
I wonder if his protection of women was down
as a result of his mother.
Yeah, his relationship with his mother, yeah.
Seeing his mother being abused, yeah. So him and his friends turn up at this wedding. Just like normal guests with their 12-gauge shotguns, which might be normal for a drug lord's wedding. They burst in.
Well, I'll tell you an interesting thing. You've probably seen this photo, but at our parents' wedding, where Yasser Arafat was there, he literally had a gun holster.
Yeah.
A gun holster at their wedding, and it was a very small and intimate wedding. Anyway, yeah. Side note. So it happens.
So maybe it was normal. Maybe
apparently Beirut was a very dangerous place in the 70s. Was the answer. What I asked why it was necessary.
I mean, it genuinely was, and there was a lot of attacks on his life at the time. So
to be fair, yeah.
But yeah, so it probably would have raised alarm bells if he hadn't walked in with a 12-gauge shotgun. So they burst in. Like I said, they told all of the women and children to go upstairs. China then comes at Pedro, and Pedro shoots him in the chest, and he dies. The 3 guys, Pedro and his 2 mates, start shooting until their ammo is low, and then they step over all the bodies and go to the bar at the back of the room and get themselves a drink. 7 men were killed and 16 were injured. Pedro is about 18 at this point.
I mean, his list of murders are pretty fucking long by this point.
Right? So now Pedro starts letting it get to his head a little bit.
So is he a mass murderer or serial killer? Mass murderer, huh?
Mass murderer, I think.
Yeah. Because there is a difference in the definition.
Yeah, I don't know. He might be
I
both.
think it's down to motivation, don't you think? Like,
yeah, no, he might be both. He might tick both boxes, actually.
Okay.
But okay, so he lets all of this go to his head a little bit. He's obviously got this like reputation. He is loved by the people. He starts living a bit more of the flashy gangster life. And he also starts a relationship with twins.
Do they know about each other?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's like, they're in a throuple.
Oh.
I mean, I know it sounds like really cliche, but he's also only 18. It's like when you see footballers that sign these like multi-million-pound deals and they start like buying stupidly expensive cars and whatever. Of course they're going to do that. They're 18 and you've just given them loads of freedom and money and power.
Pedro's living his best life.
Yeah. Just as a little side note, he always confessed to enjoying the killing.
Oh.
So it was the other people that were always going on about him being a vigilante or whatever, but some of it, part of it at least, was because he actually enjoyed the act of killing. He even had a tattoo saying, "I enjoy killing," or "kill for fun."
Not cool, Pedro. You'll regret that one.
Well, he did have it removed or covered up at some point later, so yeah, he did. He liked the money and the power as much as the respect. Pedro says that at this time, between this time and when he went to jail eventually, because he has eventually spent some time in jail, that he killed at least daily. That he would start getting aggy if a day went by without killing someone.
Okay. So, okay. So it now becomes a sport. Okay.
Yes. He often drank the blood of his victims because he thought it strengthened him.
Unhygienic.
Yeah, exactly. But he did feel the net closing in on him. And on the 24th of May, 1973, he was having a drink at the bar where his twin girlfriends S apostrophe, because it was both of the twins, both of his twin girlfriends' dad worked there. So I can't imagine the dad liked him very much. Or at the very least liked that he was in a relationship with both of his daughters at the same time. I mean, he's involved in some serious crime and he's going out with both of his twins. So this guy calls the police and tells them that Pedro is the guy you're looking for all of these different crimes, and he is at this bar right now. The police turn up at the bar. They actually shoot him and he falls unconscious. When he wakes up, he's in a hospital bed, surrounded by medical staff, but also
police. Where was he shot?
I don't know, but he survives. He was surrounded by medical staff, surrounded by police, and also journalists who were granted access to watch when Pedro woke up. And because they were granted access to watch when Pedro woke up and could be formally charged with many, many murders.
Oh, okay.
Fucking weird though, isn't it? Can you imagine? You wake up. Oh, my friend Vicky. Hi, Vicky. She's so cute. She's my dear friend who lives in Devon, and she says she listens to the podcast because she misses me, and it's like she gets to have a little conversation with me once a week. But she says that I say, "Can you imagine?" a lot, and that I sound really posh when I say it.
Oh, it's funny because I haven't noticed that.
Me neither, but now I think I probably do. So Pedro spends 24 days in hospital recovering from his fucking bullet wounds, and then he's transferred to prison. When given the choice of going to general population or protective custody, he chose to go into general population, even though that would be with loads of family members and friends and gang members of his victims.
Oh, why did you choose that?
Like you see in Raphael Rowe, Inside the World's Worst Prisons, and in Prison Break, the series, where they're in the Latin American prisons. the gang divisions, the gang warfare literally just continues inside the prisons. It's like a microcosm of what's going on outside. It's reported, especially in the 70s, in these prisons that he was, in the prisons that he was in, that the guards literally just operate the outside walls. So the guards literally just make sure that the prisoners don't escape, but the prisoners can do whatever the fuck they want inside. Yeah. So the prisoners even had keys to all the internal locks and everything. Were allowed to self-manage. Mm-hmm. So whichever gang is in charge runs the prison at that time. They weren't allowed to leave the outside walls, but they were also allowed to have as many guests as they wanted, including sex workers, drug dealers, you know, family members, conjugal visits, etc., etc. Like, it doesn't really seem like it impacts their career as a gang member very much. If anything, it's probably more like a networking event, you know? But very dangerous, because again, you're in close quarters with rival gang members. Pedro was charged with 18 murders, which he was disappointed in because he said he'd killed at least 100 people. Wow. Which, again, doesn't really tally up with his claim that he murdered one person a day, but whatever. He was convicted of 14 murders and given 127 years of jail time. So basically the rest of his fucking life. He went to prison after being convicted. He was in the prisoner transport van with another prisoner who was going to the same jail as him, the same prison, who Pedro found out was a convicted serial rapist. They were obviously having chit chat. What are you in for? What are you in for? The guy says, oh, I'm a serial rapist, or some words to those effect. How many prisoners do you think arrived alive at the prison?
Fucking hell. How did he kill him in the van?
Just Pedro. It's like a fucking movie, isn't it?
How did he kill him in the van, though? Like, surely they were being escorted by police.
I don't know. I don't know whether they were. I mean, they were obviously escorted, but I don't know if there was anyone in the back of the van with them, whether the guards turn a blind eye because they don't give a shit. Don't know.
Fuck. I mean, this is what confuses me about Pedro, because he seems to have a really principled moral side, but then the fact that he also enjoys murder and treats it like a sport.
But maybe he can only enjoy it if he's killing someone who, in his mind, deserves to die because they've done these horrible things.
I like to think, in my theory is that because he must have witnessed his mother endure abuse from his abusive father, that's why he has such an objection to it.
I don't know. But on this note, on the note of Pedro entering prison, we're going to go for a break. Welcome back. Hope you had a nice wee. Although you're listening to a podcast probably on your phone, you could bring your phone with you. Rhonda had a nice wee. So,
believe.
Yeah. So, Pedro killed the serial rapist in the prisoner transport van on the way to prison. He's now arrived at a Brazilian prison in the 70s. And I imagine Brazilian prisons are fucking awful now. I can't imagine how shit they were. But apparently they were rife with like tuberculosis, dengue fever, etc., etc. There was very little supervision, very little monitoring. All of the gang warfare carries on inside the prison walls. It's basically rare for someone in these prison situations to survive a longer sentence without being murdered or die from disease. Ooh. So it's said that it is rare to live longer than 15 years in such a prison. Ooh, 15 years sounds like a fucking miracle if you get to that. I mean, I would just curl up and die instantly on arrival. I'd be like, no, can't do this. Nope, nope. So people are crammed into cells. There's not even enough space for people to lie down at the same time. There's not mattresses. Prison guards are allowed to act without consequences as well. They are underpaid, understaffed, outnumbered, etc. So they're very open to corruption. Even the good ones are going to struggle to do a good job in those environments, right? Drugs, weapons, women, all of this stuff, super accessible from the inside. Prisoners were often decapitated or disemboweled to prove points.
Oh, God. So you pretty much walk in there knowing it's going to be your cause of death.
Fight for life, yeah. That you're not, if you make it out alive,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Because of Pedro's reputation, because he'd obviously targeted a lot of these gang members, a lot of their family, friends, their colleagues. Are you a colleague if you're in the same gang? I don't know. Anyways, he was basically a target as soon as he arrived. The first time he entered the prison yard, he was instantly surrounded by 5 guys. It's kind of not the restaurant.
Great burgers.
Great fries. Actually, no.
Not so good.
No, I take that back. Yeah. Anyways, it's unclear what happened to them, but 3 of them died and 2 of them were badly injured, and Pedro was fine.
Oh God, this guy. God, he's
fine. Like, I think he's still under 20 now.
He's got 9 lives.
Yeah.
It's actually a miracle he survived until this point with this many enemies. Yeah.
I mean, he's still basically a very young adult. No wonder he thought he was fucking invincible. So in prison, Pedro taught himself martial arts as well as how to read and write.
Oh, he didn't know how to?
No.
It makes me sad for him.
He also planned murders. I mean, he now has the luxury of time. But he was really, really busy in jail. So Pedro was sentenced to 127 years for 14 murders. By the end of his time in prison, he had been sentenced to 400 years in prison because of all the extra murders he committed while in prison.
Fuck. And what were the motivations? Was that just survival?
I will go into it.
Okay.
So Pedro's mom and his grandmother actually visited him weekly in prison. And one day, another really sad bit, he finds out that his mother has been murdered by his father.
Oh, fuck. Oh, God.
I couldn't find out from my research whether they were still technically together. I'm guessing so. Again, religious country. I couldn't actually even tell if they were married, but I'm going to presume they were. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But again, religious country, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to presume they were married and felt obligated to remain married. But they were clearly still in contact of some description because Pedro's dad...
Oh, that makes me so sad that his mother died.
He stabbed her 21 times and dismembered her. Yeah. Soon after, one of his paternal aunts leaves him a cake, like an apology, like, sorry, my brother killed your mother cake. Anyways, I don't know whether Pedro didn't like her or the cake or whatever. He didn't eat it. But unlike in the Carrie Farver case, remember?
Yes.
Do you remember Carrie Farver and Liz Golyar? Liz had baked muffins or something for...
Yes. Different ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And she'd made separate ones for her ex and her son. And then a separate container with her name on it, specifically for Melissa.
Suspect.
Yeah, Melissa obviously was smart enough not to fucking eat that, but yeah. Pedro didn't throw the cake in the bin. He distributed it to 4 other prisoners and 2 dogs, and they all got sick.
Fuck. Why did his aunt want to poison him?
Well, so the cake was tested and it was proven to be poisoned. So I don't know whether this was his aunt trying to protect the dad. I don't know, because at some point, for some reason, they decided to put Pedro and his dad, who just killed his mom, in the same prison together.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Which seems really irresponsible and silly.
I mean, honestly, like, you couldn't script this.
And they already know that Pedro is continuing to murder from prison and that he sees himself as this vigilante. So, of course, he's going to fucking want to get revenge for his own mother. Pedro Sr. was in a different area of the prison, but Pedro Jr. just called the guard under the pretense of being sick in his cell, threatened him, took his gun, and went to where his dad was. Stabbed him 22 times. 1 more time than the dad stabbed the mum, and ate a bit of his heart.
Oh, for fuck.
Yeah, fucking intense. So, while in prison, Pedro received love letters and also requests from people who had grudges against someone in the same prison as Pedro. So he got about 50 letters a week. So it'd be someone being like, oh, my abusive ex-husband is in prison with you. Can you kill him, please? Or...
And what was his incentive to actually follow through?
He didn't do it all the time, but if he thought that the crime that this person committed was serious enough in his mind, you know, violated his moral compass, he would murder them. Pedro got a girlfriend while he was in prison. She was actually another prisoner in a different prison, in a women's prison, I presume. They finally met when she was released, and she came to visit him.
And how did he meet her? Were they like pen pals?
Yeah, originally. So there's loads of reports of all the murders that Pedro committed and was responsible for while still in prison. Pedro, as we know already, is a little bit prone to exaggeration. So we don't really have any reliable sources or records to really prove this or whatever. But between 1992 and 2002, he was in complete isolation. And they say his murders decreased when he entered solitary confinement.
10 years in solitary. Oh, fucking hell. Jesus, what that must do to you.
Right. So they say his murders decreased when he entered solitary confinement. Which... I like how they were like, didn't stop it completely, just the numbers went down. So he's still very much in the public eye, and journalists are still regularly coming to interview him. We know that he got a bit more flashy just before he went into prison, so he possibly liked the attention, I'm guessing. In 1996, he had a televised interview where he was asked if he would kill again if released, and he said, yes, I would have to. I'm a murderer.
Oh, okay.
In 1998, this is a really interesting side note. I found this little tidbit fascinating because it's just like, just the public's view on something that is just, it just says a lot about the culture and the society at the time. So 1998, Francisco de Cés Pereira, also known as the Park Maniac, was arrested and sent to the same prison as Pedro. This guy pretended that he was a model scout and would lurk. Model scout? I don't know. This guy.
Model scout. Yeah, looking for models.
Model scout. I was like, a model Boy Scout is what I meant. Okay. This guy pretended he was a model scout and would lurk around in the parks and approach girls. He would then rape and torture them. He killed 11 of them as well. Pedro confessed to a journalist that he wanted to kill this guy. But the prison director said there was absolutely no way he was going to let this happen on his watch, blah, 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 right? Then on the 19th of December, 2000, so about 2 years after the Park Maniac gets arrested and put into the same prison as Pedro, an inmate smuggles in a gun and has a shootout with some rival gang members in the prison. The inmates, so then it went into full-blown riot mode. The inmates took 23 hostages, including 4 children. The prison was locked down, just like I imagine in my head when I think of movies. So they locked down the whole prison. Groups of the hostages were exchanged for moving inmates to different prisons. So I don't know whether this was because that prison was particularly bad and they wanted to be sent to an easier prison or moved to a prison closer to their family. I don't know. Everyone on the outside thought that this was going to be the moment where Pedro took advantage of the chaos to kill the Park Maniac. Remember, he said he wanted to. He likes to kill rapists. Within a day, all the hostages were released, and they were all of the hostages said that they were treated really well. And the prison announced that the Park Maniac had not been killed. Pedro was asked about this later, and he said that he was too busy looking after the hostages, bringing them food, protecting them from some of the other prisoners. And so he didn't focus on killing the Park Maniac. Don't know whether he would have, whether he wanted to, and he was just genuinely busy the entire time. But the weird thing is that this was met with massive amounts of public disappointment.
Oh, what? Okay, so the public were behind him.
The public were disappointed that Pedro did not kill the serial rapist.
Interesting. Okay, so he had public support. They kind of
he always did have some element of public support.
Interesting. Okay.
Or public sympathy. I don't know. And obviously the public is going to hate this park maniac. He's a fucking horrible thing.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
So the public are
visibly some kind of like national hero in a weird way.
Kind of like in a country where they don't respect the police or the law. It's not a surprise.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, the public are visibly disappointed that one serial killer didn't kill the other serial killer. And I'm trying to imagine how I would feel because I get it. I'm conflicted because I don't believe in the death penalty. But at the same time, if someone did kill this park maniac, I wouldn't shed a single tear.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit of a mind fuck, isn't it? It's just like...
Yeah.
I was fascinated by that. Okay, so then in 2003, Pedro is up for parole, even though he's convicted at this point of 71 murders.
So he was convicted of 20-something?
14.
14, okay, wow, okay, so yeah.
So the rest of them are from prison, and he claims to have killed more.
Wow.
So...
I mean, I can see in a way how desensitized you probably would become when you've got to those sort of numbers.
When you've grown up with all of this death around you, with life being so dispensable.
And also, you know, he considers himself to be doing a public service, doesn't he?
Yes. So, interesting you say that, because I was just about to read you a Pedro quote. And that this is his words. The things I do are good for society. Did they deserve to live? Question mark. All right. So they say towards the end of his sentence, he became a model prisoner.
Wow. How come?
I don't know. Maybe because he was in fucking solitary confinement and his murders decreased in numbers.
Yeah, I was wondering whether he was trying to get an early release from that 100 and whatever over many years.
So I want to tell you some scary Brazilian prison stats, okay?
Okay.
70% of prisoners reoffend.
Yeah, not surprised.
Prisoners are not monitored at all once they leave.
Okay. This is so problematic, isn't it? Because there really should be rehabilitation. I know this is a whole other debate, but rehabilitation back into society is that people don't reoffend. That's the whole point of prison. It shouldn't just be punishment. It should be rehabilitation. Otherwise, I mean, even the stats here, I don't exactly. The reoffense rate is high.
It's ridiculous. So, but here's the tricky thing, all right? So Pedro is due to serve something like 400 years in prison for all of his murders. But at the same time, I don't know if they've changed this law, but there was a law that said you weren't allowed to be convicted for a sentence that would mean the rest of your life. And obviously...
Explain that. What do you mean?
Your prison sentence shouldn't be longer than your natural life.
Oh, okay. So they don't want people to be in there for life.
Basically.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, it's very rare for someone to be convicted of this many murders, but like, you know, and maybe this is why they say, you know, you get 20 years for life or whatever. I don't know. But this law had been put in when the average age in Brazil was 43.
Oh.
So it meant that Pedro was not obliged to serve more than 30 years of his 400-year sentence.
Okay, so he got out?
So he actually served 34 years. Which was more than he was obliged to. They have changed the law. So you now have to serve 40 years or something. You can't serve more than 40 years. But I still think that's weird. Anyway, so basically, on a technicality, he gets out after 34 years instead of dying in prison. It's one of those weird laws, like when you get to serve a sentence concurrently. you know? You've done like 5 crimes, but you get to serve the sentences at the same time. And it's like...
Yeah, these are weird loophole laws, like double jeopardy and stuff like that, huh?
And also, it kind of means like, oh, I've killed so many people, so I'll definitely get the 40 years. But I might as well continue killing, because if I'm caught, I'm not going to do more than 40 years. So it's weird. It's really weird. So basically, he was released on the 24th of April, 2007.
Oh, okay. Not that long ago.
No. And he moved to Fortaleza in North Brazil, which is not that far. It's an hour flight from where our family live and where we often have to transfer on a plane to get to our family. So, sorry, where was I? The authorities were still looking for more reasons to keep him in, because if they charged him with a new crime, then his sentence would start again, apparently.
Okay. So they wanted to keep him in.
Yeah, of course. They were looking at the prison riot to see if there was anything they could punish him specifically for it. But like I said, prisoners weren't monitored after they are released, etc., etc. But after he was released, they managed to trump up some charges against him, but they couldn't find him. Eventually they did, and he went back to prison. But then on the 15th of September, 2011, so on the 15th of September, 2011, he was sent back to prison for 8 years for rioting and deprivation of liberty for a guard that was taken hostage during the prison riot.
Oh.
So they've managed to find some evidence, in quotation marks, that he was specifically responsible for that one act during the riot. He was released about 7 years later on the 10th of September, 2018. So we're talking quite recently here. So what does he go on to do? That's right. The man who's suspected of killing well over 70 people, he becomes a YouTube star, of course.
Oh, you're joking. I didn't expect that. What is his YouTube channel about?
I will tell you. He promised not to commit any more crimes or vigilanteism unless it was in the defense of his family or loved ones. Fair enough. That's when I would commit crimes. So he basically started a true crime podcast on YouTube.
Wow.
It's called Padrino Ex Matador, meaning Little Petey, the former killer. And he talks about crimes and advocates against gun violence.
Wow.
This channel has 250,000 subscribers.
Fuck.
I know. I was like, must learn from him.
Well, yeah. Fuck. Did you know that on Instagram, Brazil has the highest number of Instagram users globally?
I'm not surprised because of how much they fucking like taking a photo. Right?
Yeah.
We always laugh because, like, our family in Brazil are fucking stunning. Like, they're all gorgeous.
Yeah, the genes got not fairly shared.
No. And also they're all tanned and look fabulous and hair did all the time, designer clothes, which is just not us either. But they take these like gorgeous photos of themselves, like group photos and all these shots, even when they're just having like Sunday lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
And they always look stunning. And you remember on my 40th, I was like, you know what? I would really like a photo of the whole family. To celebrate my 40th and these lovely memories. And I was we didn't do like a huge extravagant thing for my 40th. We had takeaway at your house, and it was just really nice being with our parents and the twins and you and Jim and so forth. So I was like, let's set up a timer and just try to get a photo of all of us all together, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for comedy. We can't take a good fucking picture.
I know, and I've been putting them in a collage together, all of them, like the bloopers as well as the main shot, you know, if there is a main shot, because there was like ones where we didn't manage to reach, you know, where the timer was too fast for us, and then obviously trying to get both the twins to look photo ready at the same time was a mission. And then there's somewhere just whole family members aren't even in the photo. It's like, where the fuck did you go for a break or something? And then my dad looking the same in every photo. Just standing, waiting, and all this chaos going on around him as usual. So I'm not surprised that they love their Instagram in Brazil, because they do love a good photo. Right, so Pedro changed a lot of his tattoos. He got them covered up. So the one that says revenge now says love, for example.
Was he genuinely reformed? Or did he see a business opportunity here?
Well, I mean, in his defense, he's got to fucking make a living somehow.
Yeah. You know, I love a hustler. I love a hustler.
And he supposedly was anti-gang now. He was talking about, he was advocating against gang warfare.
Okay.
He got a lot of God-related tattoos and became more religious, so maybe. Yeah. And he made lots of videos of him cooking.
I want to see this.
Right.
What do you make?
You can go have a look yourself. So then, this is how long ago I was researching this one originally, right? On the 10th, at 10 a.m. on the 5th of March of this year, 2023, Pedro was leaving a family member's home and he got stopped and his throat was slit and he was shot before two men were seen driving off in a black car. At the time of my research, the 12th of March, no one had been caught, and I don't think anyone has to this day. So basically, a week after he's been murdered, I sat down to research this, only to find out he'd been murdered a week previously. Isn't that fucking bonkers? So I'm going to finish with two quotes from Pedro. First of all,
you know, I feel sad for Pedro that he fucking, okay, he did some bad shit. He did some bad shit. But it sounds like he was actually, you know, with his campaigning against gang violence, he could have done some really good work there, you know?
And legally, according to the law, he had served his time. But obviously, he still had a lot of enemies. I mean, they probably haven't found anyone because it could be a fucking million different people. So, okay, not quite a quote, but basically he had said, he had confessed that right near the end of his life, he still had the urge to kill.
Okay.
And here's a quote. I don't regret it because the people I killed weren't worth a shit. They weren't worth the food they eat. If I didn't kill them, they would kill other people who didn't deserve to die.
I was just going to ask, was his motivation to kill or his urges to kill, was that for this reason, to exterminate the vermin, so to speak?
Yeah, well...
Or was it like, you know, one of those instincts of, you know, like a lot of serial killers, it's...
a compulsion, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the chicken and the egg thing. Did he enjoy killing? Did he learn to enjoy killing? Did he always enjoy killing and therefore he found justification for doing it? It's really hard to tell. I
want to believe that he really was morally motivated.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we could argue that even if he was, he still wasn't going around it the right way.
No.
But he also had very few other options.
Yeah, and you know what, always, whenever we talk about these cases, and we talk about at what point the victim becomes the aggressor, and then there's that famous quote by George Bernard Shaw about, you know, morals being a luxury of the rich, you know? So he did not have the best chances in life.
He didn't have options. He didn't have opportunities. He didn't have, all these things. All right.
And you know, the other thing is also not good role models to model normal behavior. If you were growing up in a house with an abuser.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you going to fucking learn?
Like Steve Gaskin said in one of his talks, if you grow up witnessing violence in person, not on video games, on TV or whatever, but you witness it in person, for example, your father being physically abusive to your mother, you are more likely to go on to be violent because that is how you learn how to gain control or the upper hand, how you learn how to deal with negative emotions and how you manage your emotions and feelings and stuff. You love psychology.
Yes. Oh, what have you got?
It's just, I shouldn't laugh at this bit, but during a psych assessment in 1982, while he was in prison, surprise, surprise, Pedro was deemed as a psychopath, but in quotation marks, harmless to law-abiding society.
Interesting.
Right? But I did have to question this a little bit because it's reported that he killed one prisoner because he snored too much.
Okay.
I mean, it is a prisoner, so he must have been in there for something. But
yeah.
Also, you'd be in trouble.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. You know, just a little anecdote here. Dee had a sleepover at mine, and I snore so bad she heard me from downstairs.
Yeah.
That's fucking bad. Not only am I an ugly sleeper, but I snore so bad you can hear me through multiple doors and walls
and stairwells and all sorts. All right, well, that's the end of my Pedro story. What did you think of that?
I'm fucking fascinated by it because I love the psychology, but I always want to know what diagnosis somebody has. And I'm often told by people, not everyone has a diagnosis. Some people are just bad, or some people just are fucking assholes. But actually, I think more often than not, sometimes there is like an actual name for what they got. But I mean, I don't know. This guy, I think...
next level fucked upness, right?
Yeah, but I can kind of wrap my head around it a lot more than the serial killers that the motivation is, like you said, compulsions.
I was going to say that because the motivation is something that we understand, this idea of justice, revenge.
Yeah. And then also the murders probably picked up pace because he got desensitized. And as he said, he didn't value their lives because they are a menace to society.
Yeah.
And in his mind convinced himself that he's doing a public service. Not that I'm justifying his behavior, and there's much better ways to go around it, but we're also talking about a very lawless Brazil at the time where police were not putting away. As you said, only 10% of murders are being put away. So, yeah. I
and the off-duty police officers were part of the problem. So, yeah. Just cuckoo bananas, that case.
Yeah, that's fucking interesting. It really is interesting because it's hard to see him as a real villain.
I mean, we have to remember he was still fucking murdering a lot of people.
He was, but think about his...
Would you rather be in a room with him or Ed Kemper?
Yeah. I mean, it's a different kettle of fish, and what the guy had experienced before he even hit 18. No
one should have to go through any of that.
Yeah, what we consider bad behavior is nothing compared to what he would have experienced or seen, and therefore his crimes probably in comparison didn't seem so morally wrong compared to what people living our lives would consider to be.
And also remember, he didn't learn how to read or write until he was in prison, right? So he wasn't, I'm presuming he wasn't going to school. So not only did he have this horrible role model of a father at home, he was then working and not having even any outside influence in terms of like school day, where you would hope that he would be exposed to actual caring adults and blah blah blah. He wasn't going to school, so he wasn't even getting that.
This is the thing. I think, like, when you go to school, you learn, whatever the fuck you learn at school, and at home, your
how to smoke in the toilets without setting off the fire alarm.
Time.
How to cheat at that?
How the fuck did we get away with that?
How to cheat at the 1 mile run, the cross country run.
Did you work out how to do that?
Yeah,
I just walked.
Yeah. No, just because it was around the park, so it's just like stop, have a cigarette, walk directly across the park, get to sort of the back end of the crowd because you got to make it believable.
Oh, I fucking hated PE. Got my point. Oh yeah, so like you go to school to learn like how to add up and multiply and spell and read and write, whatever. But at home, your parents are supposed to teach you right and wrong, good manners, good behavior, and that sort of stuff. If you're not taught that at home, like how the fuck are you ever, if you've never been exposed to it, how are you supposed to learn it? How are you supposed to learn something you've never been exposed to?
Exactly.
That's like me learning about quantum physics. I don't know about quantum physics because nobody fucking taught me that. I don't know what it is.
You don't have any quantum physics friends.
Yeah, exactly. So how is somebody ever supposed to know about something they have never seen, experienced, or witnessed, or been taught? That's my fucking question.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And a huge chunk of the blame for his bad behavior is due to the neglect and abuse that he faced as a child. So
how the fuck was it supposed to turn out different?
Really couldn't have. Yeah.
So there you go. There's my fucking take. Not that I'm a psychologist, but I think that's what I think.
Yeah. But it's just such a fascinating story, isn't it?
I'm gonna binge watch his fucking YouTube channel. How do I find it? You told us the name.
Do you know what? I have a sneaky suspicion that it was actually taken down.
No.
But I'm sure you can find bits of it. But you can definitely
watch it.
Oh, do you want to see? Yeah, I know. Do you want to see a picture of him?
Yes, I do.
Oh, well, just wait 20 minutes while I reopen the file then. Oh, close your eyes. No, wait, I'll just stop share. Don't trust you. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I want to see what it looks like.
Bear with.
Is he cute?
Like, are you asking me if I fancy him?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No. Like, if we played like Shag, Marry, Murder with serial killers, he'd probably be the one I'd marry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, he's a bit cute. Hang on, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen.
His Prison Break is great for that. Okay, who we got? Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not right in the head.
Which obviously makes him hotter to me. But anyways. Red flag D. All right. So yeah, that's the end. And I am super excited because
we got the People's Pulse.
The People's Pulse. Hey, can you put your musicology degree to good use?
You want me to compose a theme tune?
A little jingle, please.
Can we just go on the audio jungle?
Maybe. Did you notice how on one of the reels, the weird crush reels, because I didn't want to reveal my weird crush on the reel because you gotta listen to get that kind of juice. So I was like looking and I didn't want to have to pay for sound effects, so I just made my own. I don't fucking know why I went with that sound, but it happened.
See, I've got apps for sound effects. You don't gotta do that. Do you know what? I was a little bit worried about the People's Pulse because I was worried about how to. Huh?
We haven't Googled it to check if it's been used. Fuck it. Who's going to sue us?
We're in too deep now. We've done a poll on stories.
We've talked about it in the intro, so
yeah. Can't go back. Yeah, so I was a bit worried about the People's Pulse and how we're gonna sensitively transition from a horrific, sad, tragic story, which most of the episodes are, to then talking about like today's fucking topic for the People's Pulse.
That's what the jingle is for.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so I don't quite know how to sensitively.
It'll be like, I want the lyrics to be along the lines of like, sorry about that, but let's make it up to you with the People's Pulse.
Oh my god. So, I mean, we're just gonna have to fucking just do it. End the sad story, go into the People's Pulse. Now today's topic, we did a poll on stories. Do you know what it is?
I can't remember. But also, just for the record, in the People's Pulse, because Rhonda manages our social media, I am not looking at any of the responses, so I will always be surprised by them, which I love.
Okay, so the People's Pulse topic for today, and I have asked for permission from our respondents to be able to identify them.
Basically, don't fucking reply if you don't want us to mention it. Because
yeah. So the question was, what was the dumbest thing you've ever done? And I was really looking forward to this question because we have got some dumb shit. So you were one of our respondents and you said, dumbest thing you've ever done is start a podcast with me.
I mean, I was joking with that. That's one of the best things I've ever done. One of the dumbest things I ever did was marry Adam.
Agree. And I will always feel responsible that I didn't intervene. But let's not fucking we're trying to fucking lighten him.
Okay, sorry.
I did threaten the guy a lot.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
Okay, so Okay, I'm gonna tell you about my fucking dumbest thing I ever fucking did. I've done, you know, I'm a sensible person, but you know, I'm a sensible person. I don't really take risks.
Is it one of your tattoos?
No, you know, I've always said if that's the dumbest thing I ever do,
then you're
I've
lucky.
escaped well, you know. They're all fucking hideous.
I know the dumbest thing.
Yeah, you do know.
Well, I'm sure I know, but
tell me what's the dumbest thing?
Is it when you separated all your documents?
Oh, yeah.
Into keep and incinerate the fuck out of.
Okay, so the problem was that I didn't separate them into keep and incinerate the fuck out of.
They
all went into the fucking incinerate pile somehow.
And you burnt all your passport, driving license, naturalization document, everything. Yeah. At a time where we were going through a little bit of a legal process that you needed them. Yeah.
Yes. And we lost out on the sale of the flat because all my fucking ID documents, as well as a million other documents in the fucking incinerator. I thought I was being really fucking clever incinerating them and not spending ages shredding them. And then I was without any ID for like 3 months.
I mean, for about 3 months, you basically didn't exist as a human.
No, I lost sleep over that. I was awake every night at like 3 a.m. being like, I fucking need these documents just because we were, oh God,
yeah,
I needed those fucking ID documents.
Was that what you were going to say?
That's exactly what I was going to say. What you said, I've done a lot of dumb shit. I don't think I'm interesting enough.
No. When
a lot of dumb shit.
I meant me when I said that.
Oh. I've fallen over a lot.
Oh, I've
done, but I don't think I'm a person who's got like a back catalog of really great stories to tell. Because I think I'm too sensible for a lot of dumb shit. But that, you know, even at the time, Jim said to me, be careful that you don't put anything important in there. What did I do? I was having a clear out. I fucking love to get rid of shit. Like, I'm a minimalist. I love to fucking own as little as possible. I wanted to go digital. I was like, why do I need all these papers? Fucking chuck them all. And it was also expensive to have to replace all this shit. Like, it cost like £500 to get new passport, new naturalization certificate, all this fucking shit. So that was the dumbest thing I've ever done.
All right, so, let's go on to some other people then.
Okay, cool. So
what we got?
This one had me in stitches. Okay, now I'm going to save the best for last.
Okay, save the best for last.
Okay, so then friend of the show, Lucy B, when she was at school, Lucy B, friend of the show, she and long-term dearest friend, she put custard on her spaghetti once when she was at school, and it's just a funny thing for her to do because she's normally got her shit together, but I'm sure that she followed through with that.
Was she like, oh no, I meant to do that?
I can imagine that. Yeah. She got a lot of pride. Then, other friend of the show, dearest friend of the show, somebody we absolutely love, Isla, got her tongue stuck to her bed sheets. So I was like, I'm going to need more detail. So what happened? I think she was putting on fake nails and then glue.
This happened when we were working together.
Oh, do you want to tell the story?
No. The story. I don't remember much of it, but yeah.
Okay, so basically she was like gluing fake nails on, and then like the glue like was dripping or something, and then her natural instinct, I don't know why the fuck this was the natural instinct, was to lick the glue off, and then what happened? Then she had glue on her tongue, so then she licked the bed sheet.
She's Scottish. She was probably trying to sniff the glue.
Shit in your mouth. I mean, my natural instinct is like not to put things in my mouth.
You have the opposite natural instinct. Exactly. Get away from my mouth.
That's anything coming near my face. So anyway, so that happened. Isla.
I love you, Isla.
Isla also, didn't she go on holiday not once but twice without her luggage?
She tried to get into Buckingham Palace with a switchblade.
Why was she carrying one?
Just always did.
And can we just add that these people are very high achieving, successful people? I don't know why they'd be doing dumb shit.
Oh my god, we could have like another 3-hour session on just the funny stuff Isla does. Love you, Isla, so much. At Criminally Good Books York.
Yes, Criminally Good Books York on Instagram, opening soon in York. Yeah, another funny Isla story was when we were all together having a work sesh and, you know, doing the website and the social media for Criminally Good Books. And you escort Isla over to me.
And I'm like, can you look after her for the next 10 minutes? And you thought I was joking. I was like, no. She needs to be supervised at all times.
She's gonna get herself in trouble. Okay, so I've saved the best for last. This one I wasn't expecting. This is my favorite kind of story. Okay, so Susie. This is one of our loyal listeners, Susie. Susie sent an email to her whole company that was meant for her boss to tell them all, well, to tell her boss that she had the shits, but she accidentally sent it to the whole company. So I was like, I need the details. This is the best kind of story. So Susie replied saying, absolutely, she's going to tell me all the details. So this is the story. I'm going to read it verbatim because I don't like to dilute a good story. So she just had a promotion at work. So you might have to edit it out, edit some shit that I, yeah, she had some extra details on the cut out. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so she just had a promotion at work. She worked for a company which was very big on micromanagement. They had a lot of time for comfort breaks and a maximum of 10 minutes per break. Alarm bells, red flags. The comfort breaks were basically our toilet and brew breaks, so tea breaks. An awful place to work. I would fuck this place off. Anyway, she's got a better job now.
Good, so well done.
She then says, Susie, the takeaway curry she had the night before started making itself known. I had to run to the bathroom when it wasn't my comfort break. I had an email from my manager. He was a big keyboard warrior, having to go at me for leaving my desk when it wasn't my break. But as I received this email, I had to have another comfort break, so I was gone again. Oh my God, it's like the biggest nightmare.
So they were only allowed to go to the toilet in these specific
breaks. Can you imagine? This is like Gilead, huh?
That's fucking awful.
Frightening. Like, how is it even allowed? So at this point, I should point out that I was organizing a company-wide Christmas party and I was starting to put together the comms for it. Now.
So this happened on an email trail about a Christmas party.
So when I came back from my second toilet break, I'd received another email from the keyboard warrior manager. Susie thought she replied to him, but it was the wrong email. It said something like, for fuck's sake, I've got the shits. You can either be sympathetic and let me go home, or if I have to stay, then I'll be going to relieve myself when I need to. Except this was in the email titled, we have a big surprise. And they got a big surprise. And oh my God, this is my favorite kind of story. I don't know why, but I just love a story that involves people having the shits or people falling over. Like, there's nothing funnier.
Can I just say as well that I use having the shits as an excuse to get out of a lot of things. I don't have kids that I can use as an excuse, but I can use... And I find that if you actually say the word diarrhea, I'm sorry, I can't have diarrhea, then people do not want to question you.
Do you know what the other thing is? They feel so awkward. They don't want to know anymore.
Thank you, British awkwardness.
Yeah, they just...
And it's just like...
Okay. They just want to end the conversation. Don't tell me anymore. We're good.
Yeah, it's fine. I use it when people approach me at a bar and I'm not interested. I'm really sorry. I'm not really in the mood for this because I have the shit. Also works. You know, when you want to let someone down nicely because they've approached you in a very civilized way, but you're just not interested, and you don't want to tell them, I'm just not interested in you.
Yeah, I was not expecting that I was not expecting that.
Susie, fucking legend.
Yes,
well done for getting out of there.
Do you know what's so cute? Susie was really looking forward to me telling you that story. So yeah, she really wanted to
that was amazing.
Do you know that it's the best kind of story because it involves all the makings of a great story. An embarrassing story. Maybe that'll be another one, but we're gonna need another one from you, Susie.
Yeah.
But
my God,
it can easily happen, you know, when you reply all accidentally.
Yeah. I just have a funny little story about someone that I don't like, who I'm not going to mention, but she's a horrible fucking cunt. And just similar email mistakes, right? And I just had huge satisfaction one day because I received an email from her, which clearly went out to her whole mailing list, where she announced the launch of her new boob.
Oh, what?
Her new boob.
What
She
do you mean
meant
her new
to
boob?
say my new book. But she sent an email to her entire mailing list announcing the launch of her new boob. And I still think about this day. Itself. This is a woman who still causes me headaches off and on to this day. So every time she just drives me crazy, I remember the launch of her new boob, and it just makes it a bit easier. You know who it is?
No, I don't. I'm going to ask you after.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay. She was going to do an event with us with Loki.
So I don't know.
Oh,
yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah. Justified. Yeah.
Total bitch.
No,
total bitch.
Yeah.
Right. So that was amazing. Now you will play the jingle that goes, "That was the people's pulse."
You know what? That was a really
still have a pulse.
I'm really pleased with our contributions that we received for that.
I'm fucking relieved that we now have a format. We finally, how many episodes in, have a fucking format. All right, so everyone keep an eye on our stories.
Yes, please.
We'll also make a post. Rhonda will also make a post to announce when the story poll is up for the People's Pulse. Oh, we need to do some artwork for the People's Pulse. There's so much to do. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah. Why do we give ourselves more work?
Because we fucking love what we do.
We do. Fucking laborious, though.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. Especially as we might as well announce we've lost our audio editor.
We have.
/ my fiance. But it's all good.
It is all good. It is all good. And the other envelope ready. You don't gotta worry about it. D is A-okay.
I just need you to all know that if the dick pic is unsolicited, I will be showing all my friends down the pub, and we will be laughing at it.
We'll be posting it on the socials. Also, if anyone
No, I know what you're gonna say.
No, you don't. What I was going to say was they got to go through me.
Oh, yeah. Please.
To go through the checks.
Also, Steve Gaskin, former criminal profiler and expert on psychopaths and Scotland Yard Murder Squad detective, has volunteered to go on all first dates with me.
Oh, what a good guy. Please do, Steve. Please do. Because, that sounds like a really good idea.
It sounds sensible.
Oh, Steve, what a guy. What a guy. What a guy. Yeah.
Right. So that's my other bit of news. It might sound like we're ending on a downer, but we're not, because it's all good.
It is all good. So you don't got to worry about Dee. She's all good. I'm texting her 1,000 times a day to check that she's all good. And she is A-okay.
All right, guys. Love you all so much. Love you. Love having a sister like you.
Love the fuck out of you.
All right. Really bye, everyone. We love you guys too.
Mwah.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Hey there. Thanks for being a loyal listener.
Do you need a new website or want to boost your social media performance? Or do you hate podcast editing? You've tried optimizing your website and social media channels, but you're still not getting the listeners, downloads, and engagement you want?
We, the Safier sisters, love helping people with tasks that they hate. We know a thing or two about podcasts, websites, and social media, and we love working with other podcasters and business owners.
So why not head over to switchbladesisterssocialclub.com and go to our Work With Us section. We believe in collaboration over competition. A rising tide raises all ships.
Bye!